Tip number 10, do not take CS. Now, supports will get most of their gold from the gold items that they already get at the beginning and assist. So they don't need to take the gold farm away from the ADCs, because the ADCs need that extra gold along with the kills to get those really expensive items that will help them carry the game. Tip number 9, adapt to your ADC. Now, all this means is if your ADC is aggressive, then be aggressive. If they're defensive, be defensive. Because if only one of you is like being really aggressive, then you're not going to get much damage output in. You need to make sure that you both are focusing the same target, whether that is ADC or support. And make sure that even if you are used to one playstyle, you need to go along with what they are more comfortable with, because in the long run it'll help both of you do better. Tip number 8, know your supports / ADCs. Now, I know that support should really know all the champions, but first off, if you're a new player and you want to support main, then you want to make sure that you at least know these two main roles, because it's very annoying whenever you have support and they don't even know what the ADC or the support's like abilities are. So you want to make sure you get those down at least right off the bat. And also, this can really help when you are countering abilities in really any lane. So this is just a good tip overall. Tip number 7, ping. Now, supports should be able to ping more often than other players, because they are not as much focused on taking a CS and they're not as much focused on their enemy or opponent. They should be more map aware, because they are just standing there getting that extra gold, you know, autoing the enemy once in a while, but mostly they should be checking the map, because this can really save a game if you just ping your teammates to know if someone on the enemy team is ganking them. Tip number 6, stay with team. Now, this is the number one way that supports die. They're not with their team, they have no one to back them up, and they're not able to back anyone else up. This most likely happens when they are out warding too far and they're really far away from their team and the enemy knows it, so they'll just pick them off just like that. So you need to make sure that you keep a good distance with your team so that they are able to come to your aid, because most supports are squishy, or if they're really tanky, they don't do that much damage, so they're not going to be able to get out of those kind of situations like other flexible champions are. Tip number 5, sacrifice. Now, this is probably the main role of a support, is you're sacrificing, you know, your gold, your experience, your kills. So you want to make sure that you can always sacrifice. An example would be you charging in a dragon and taking like all the damage and abilities so that your jungle can come in and like sneak steal it, and then it can just get out. Or another one would be if you're Annie, who has like a 500 gold worth killing spree, is about to die, and you can go in and, you know, sacrifice yourself so the enemy gets less gold and she keeps her killing spree. That's some ways, more ways you can sacrifice.
Gotcha, bitch!
Tip number 4, clear enemy vision. This isn't very important the first couple minutes of the game, but after you get that sight ward, you want to make sure you get a sweeping lens so your other lanes are able to gank you, especially your jungle. Now, the only time I would recommend getting a pink ward is if the enemy jungle has a champion like Shaco that can go invisible. So pink ward will help to know if they're, you know, there, because you won't be able to see them with a normal ward. And in late game, make sure that you clear all the high points and main contested areas like dragon, so that they don't have an eye on your team whenever you're getting it. Tip number 3, ward, ward, and ward. Now, most people think that the support's main role is to ward. It's really not. It's the whole team's job to make sure that your whole map is covered and you know where the enemy is at all times. But the supports should be doing most of the warding.
Tip number 2, be positive. Now, this just isn't even close to just being a support tip. It's everyone's role, really, to be positive, but, you know, everyone's not. Some people just have bad days, and especially supports, I must say, though, should be positive. Even if you're so angry, like, you want to, like, throw your computer away, just don't, and keep playing, be positive, don't leave the game. Just even if you can't say anything positive, just don't say anything. But try to be positive, and even if it's fake positive, just just type. We can still win this, guys. Even though you're like over here like throwing bananas at your computer because you're so mad. Tip number 1: protect your carries. Now this tip is the most important because if you don't protect your carries, the people who are doing damage on your team, then you're not gonna win because supports usually don't do that much damage, and then even if you do a little bit of damage, it's not even nearly significant to what they're doing to the enemy team. So you want to make sure you protect them with your life, and that will basically win you the game if you are able to protect them from the other team's carries. Now, if your carry isn't your ADC, that's fine. You can still protect your mid, top, or even jungle, because I've seen jungles just swipe through the game. So just protect the one that is doing the most damage, or the most squishy that isn't doing the most damage.
Night of the stars.